Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. I just wanted to check in with you and have a little talk and thank everyone who has recently subscribed. So for everyone who has recently joined the channel, thank you very much for coming to hang out, and I really appreciate that you were here. Thank you for your support. Today I just wanted to talk about what's up with my channel and what I'm doing online. I know a lot of people have seen some of my speeches that I've done recently at industry level for the game industry. And I just want to let you know I don't like doing those. That is not something that I really want to do. I just want to make video games. I want to make cool things for people. I want to make fun games. And in between that, while I'm making my games, maybe I'll make some fun and interesting videos here and there for people to have a laugh at. I don't like doing industry speeches because we are addressing topics that can be quite difficult to address, and it will earn me enemies. And I understand that, and I've accepted that. So why I don't want to do these speeches is that, unfortunately, there is negativity involved in what you have to say, but when someone does something wrong, you have to point it out. And if you don't, things can snowball out of control into catastrophic levels. I don't want to do these speeches, and I don't need to do these speeches. I don't care about the clicks or the views, but I'm doing this not because I want to or need to, but because I choose to. And I choose to stick up for gamers and developers who feel like they are not being heard, that their voices are being ignored by the games industry. And so that is why I'm doing these industry speeches. I am a solo developer. I run my own studio. I make my own games. I make exactly what I want, for better or worse, even if I don't have a huge audience, even if my games don't have mass appeal. That's all right by me. I like to explore sometimes weird ideas. Sometimes they don't always land, but I'm having a lot of fun with what I'm making. All my passion and heart goes into what I make, and I'm able to make games that people can enjoy. So for everyone that has been enjoying my games and has appreciated what I've done, I am so grateful to you guys for enjoying my games and supporting me. In the past, I've worked in the photography and the photo marketing industry, and I saw the industry and its giants rise, and I saw them fall. I saw all of the elements that went into a catastrophic failure for those industries. And at that point, I was working with industry veterans, and I was new. They threw me into the deep end to see if I would sink or swim. They wanted to see what I would do in a professional environment, and I learned from the very best. And unfortunately, I lacked the experience, the wisdom, and the confidence to do anything about the things that I saw going wrong. So what happened in the photography and photo marketing industry is people exactly like Kathleen Kennedy came into CEO roles and upper management, and they destroyed everything. And I couldn't understand it at the time. I didn't have enough experience and insight. And I understand now that this movement that we have been seeing over the past few years that they call feminism is not feminism. The only thing that I can describe it is neo-feminism. It is not about equality. It is about superiority. And I will get back to that topic later on in the video. But basically, these people enter spaces where they don't really have actual interest in. They just want control and a sense of power. And they want people who echo the same ideological and political views and agendas as them, people that will echo them. They'll tear down anyone who doesn't agree with them and put in those people, even if those people are ill-suited to the roles in which they are working. And people like Kathleen Kennedy destroyed the photography and the photo marketing industry. I watched companies that seemed like they were too big to fail be utterly destroyed by people who came in not because they cared about the work, not because they cared about the industry. They didn't care about the consumer or the end product. They only cared about their own ego and taking control. and assuming power. And that will destroy industries. And that is why I'm speaking up for the games industry, because what I watched firsthand right in front of me happen to photography companies and in the photo marketing industry, that is happening right now in the games industry. And I can clearly see with my own eyes, I can very clearly see it. We're going to have a disaster on our hands in the game industry. But I know that there is still time. If we all work together, we absolutely can put the ship back on the right direction. So, with my games, they all have been quite small over the past years, and I appreciate everyone who's been understanding and been supporting and cheering on my games. Lately, I've just been planning and working on very small games, stuff that I can make in a short amount of time and that I can ship so I can keep paying my bills. Generally, I try to aim probably more than what I'm currently capable of, but that is part of my personal endeavor to continue pushing myself, to keep improving, to keep getting better, and to make better games than I did previously. I just want to keep improving. But lately, my games have been quite small. I don't talk a lot about my personal life because that's not really why we're here. So the reason why a lot of my games, or all my games, are quite small right now is over the past year, I've been volunteering at a local cancer hospital. And I've been playing music. I've been going to the hospital with a fiddle, and I sit in the sort of the public area and I just play, traditional music, just something that's easy to listen to, something calming, something to cheer people up. And the staff come to me throughout the day and they're so grateful that at least I was able to brighten up their day even a little bit. People that are receiving treatments will often come down from their rooms to listen, and they'll thank me for, sharing some music with them. And friends and family who are visiting and supporting their loved ones going through treatments have thanked me for that. And I don't receive any money for that. I don't brag about it. And I do it because I understand what it feels like to stare down the barrel of a gun that's aimed at someone else, and you feel utterly powerless and helpless to help someone. One thing that I find as I grow older and older is I feel increasingly frustrated understanding how little I can actually do for other people. I wish that there was more that I could do to help people. I wish there was something I could do to make people's lives better. And the older you get, the more you realize how little you are capable of when it comes to that. And so this is something that I can do. Yes, it takes a certain amount of time away from my work schedule. It takes a certain amount of my focus away. I should be entirely focused on my work, on my career, on advancing my studio and making more games. But I've chosen this. I have chosen to spend time at the cancer hospital because even if it's just a little bit, at least I can help someone see that there is hope, that there can be light at the end of the tunnel. And we all know how these things go. Cancer treatments don't always work out. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. And it's the fear of not knowing. It's wondering if you're ever going to get to see your loved ones again. It's knowing that they probably only have until the end of the year. And it breaks my heart that people that live on Twitter that don't spend any time in the real world, that are now infesting all these different industries like movies and TV and video games, they don't have this kind of understanding of the world. They don't have compassion for other people. All they care about is themselves and forcing their political views on people. And then they cry and get angry when there's any sort of criticism, and there's no room for them to gain any understanding, any improvement as a person, to become a better human being. They've closed themselves off to that, and it just breaks my heart. Because one day they will be in a position in their lives where they'll need that experience and those skills to be able to handle what's coming their way, and they won't have that. And so I just want to share with you my personal frustration and that I've lost my opportunity to volunteer at the cancer hospital. And the reason why I've lost that opportunity is because people from that woke community, the neo-feminists, who do not care about anything but taking control at all costs. They want control. They want power. They want to tear down men. They entered the sort of the arrangement at the hospital, and they wanted to have a tight control over everything. And anyone who did not bend the knee, they bullied and pushed out. And so I had been volunteering at the cancer hospital for about a year, and then these woke neo-feminists came in and assumed control and exerted their power in a way that made the environment unpleasant and unmanageable. And so I was pushed out of that environment because I would not bend the knee to these neo-feminists who the internet would describe as woke. But it's more than just woke. It's neo-feminism, and it's not about them fighting for equality. It's them fighting for superiority and control. They don't care about the damage that they cause to the world around them. And I am upset, not for myself, but for the people that I was able to help even a little bit, to bring a little bit of brightness to their day. I no longer can do that in that environment. The other day, I had a disturbing conversation with a lady whom I previously had a lot of respect for. And I was explaining my views that all people are equal. It doesn't matter what your gender is. It doesn't matter what you call yourself with your pronouns. Everyone is equal. Everyone should have an equal opportunity in the workplace. And she laughed in my face and she said, "Well, you're wrong." And I was shocked. I thought she was joking, so I froze. And I said, "Excuse me?" I said, everyone is equal. It doesn't matter if you're a male or female. If you're the right person for the job, you should have that job. And she laughed and said, "You're wrong." And she said her reasoning is, for too long, men have been in control, and we need to fix it. And by saying we need to fix it, that means you are saying that something is broken. I had brought up the topic of how Ubisoft had a mentorship program that explicitly excluded males. And I said, how is it fair that young men who want to have opportunities to work in this space, that is being taken away from them? How is it fair that there are now organizations that are funding and companies that are hiring based on gender and excluding males? What am I supposed to tell young men who want to have an equal opportunity to work in those career fields? Am I supposed to tell young men that they are inferior to someone else because of the way they were born? Because of their gender, they deserve less opportunities and they are an inferior person. Because that is what this lady was saying. And eventually she just nodded and shrugged and walked away. And that is what we're dealing with here. These neo-feminists that are online, they are not people who care about equality. They don't care about the damage they're causing. They only care to serve themselves. They want control. They want superiority. They do not want equality. And I've been so disturbed from that conversation because I was utterly disgusted that this was someone that I knew in real life. And that we had this discussion and I said, everyone is equal, and she said, no, you're wrong. And this is the mentality that we are harboring and growing on Twitter. And we cannot allow that evil to spread any further, because that is what it is. To claim that someone else is inferior because of their gender, because of the way they were born, is not acceptable. That is evil. And we can no longer abide by that. We can't overcorrect, and we can't fight that by saying, oh, women are wrong, women are worse. No. Everyone is equal. There is no argument about that. And I know that by speaking out like this, by creating these industry speeches, I know what the consequences of my actions are. Before I made these speeches, I had to think very carefully, because as a public speaker, as a presenter, I understand the deeper implications of what you say, how you say it, where you say it, and when you say it. And I know that I am receiving personal attacks now. My works that I've created, my games, are being attacked. And I know that in the future, I will be review bombed. Anything that I publish now will be negatively review bombed, and I will be criticized. And I have accepted that. There's only two things I could have done. I could have kept my mouth shut and done nothing, or I could have spoken up for the developers who are caught in this very unfortunate development in the industry who do really believe in what they're working on. They really care. They want to make games using their passion and their skills and their art, and they're forced into these really awful situations. And I want to speak up for gamers so that they understand that they have a voice, that they are being heard, and the industry does need to hear this. And I have accepted the consequences of my action, that there will be negative repercussions for me, and I've accepted that. And that's just how things have to be in order to get the ship back on track. I don't want to keep making these industry speeches, and I don't like making them. So I will only speak when it is absolutely necessary. I will do what the industry needs of me, and it's not because I want to, but it's because it's what is needed of me. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care of yourselves. I want my next videos to just be fun. Just something fun. I will keep creating the character analysis videos. I think those are a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying hearing from all of you. Take care, everyone. I'm going to enjoy a coffee. Be well.